All right, I'm down here now with Graydon on the shop floor here. So we are going through and getting another rack prepared to go up top on the roof of this install that we're working on. Graydon, walk me through. What are you going through to get this done?
So as you explained earlier, we've got the feet and they're completed and done. So once we have completed and done feet, it's pretty simple. They just slide on like that on the rack.
All right, I'll do the same on this side. So this, you even have the eye bolts put in. You also have the rubber caps on. Like, you fully assembled this thing. This is ready to go, except for we need to add the cables once it's up there, and we need to just fasten it to the roof with waterproofing.
Yep,
right?
This is the completed rack. So we shouldn't have to do any rack assembly on the roof, which is what we were going for. And then you've got these bolts, 5/16 bolts that go through and hold on the outside. There's 2 on each side.
All right.
And for looks, not really necessary, but an aesthetic thing. We like to make it so that all the bolts face the same way.
I agree. I think that's a good way to do it. So which way
do
you want to go?
These ones are going to go through just like that. So
that way?
Yep. So the back of the rack will be the side facing us.
So we get these guys through the holes, and then what are we doing to ensure that they have the right spacing and all that? Because these racks, they change, they're designed to go different widths, right? So if we have an 8-foot rig or 8.5, walk me through what we do to kind of do that.
On these racks, they slide in and out. So once we have these, we'll do it real quick. We'll tighten these down because we don't want them to move around while we're measuring.
All right, we'll tighten that up.
Yep, so we don't want these to move around while we're measuring. So we'll tighten these down. Pretty simple. And then once these are tight, they're not going anywhere. And so we can get a true measurement of the width that we need. And so now this is solid. And when we're on the roof of the RV, we're going to measure the width of the roof. And we want to make sure that we leave ourselves enough room from the edge of the roof. And then also on these feet, you'll see there's a little bit of a gap between the actual leg and the feet. It's about 3/8. We want to account for that as well. So we typically leave ourselves about 1.5 to 2 inches on the outside edge of the roof, depending on the roof, if we feel like it's a more solid roof or more solid edge. And so
you're saying right now we have the full width of the RV, and we want to bring this plate, this outside edge, about 1/2 inch in on both sides, right?
That's correct.
And then there's also this distance from here to the post as well that has to be accounted for. And in total, if you take the full length of the width of the rig and you take off about 1.5 to 2 inches, that's going to be the correct measurement from the outside of this post to the outside of that post, right?
Yep. Okay. So this rig is at about 101 inches wide, and we are building these racks at 95.5, so about 1.5 inches there.
All right, let's take a little measurement here. So, I've got it on this side.
Yep, and I'm on this side, so we need to extend. So we'll slide it out there to 99, give it a little tap to where we need to be, and we're at 99.5 right there.
So it kind of demonstrates as well, like, why this is helpful to have more than one person right there to one grab kind of thing as well.
It is definitely helpful to build with more. And then we will always take at your halfway point on the main post, which on this one is 49 3/4. We will do a bolt to hold it together. Get that tape measure to go in.
I got that. There you go.
And we'll go center right there.
Now the tools we're using here, they're not, they're
not uncommon.
Yeah, these are not terribly, difficult to acquire.
You could probably do this all with hand tools. You would probably want to drill, but other than that, you could do this all with hand tools.
Not recommended.
Not recommended.
But it is doable. So you just put in here a 3/16 hole, right? Is that right?
Yep. So we'll drill that. We'll pre-drill that hole for our self-tappers.
Now, is that necessary?
No.
It is not, right? But
you can get through. It makes it a lot faster though. So pretty simple, pretty easy. That's tight in there.
No, that took what, 1/2 second?
Yeah, and if you were to use the self-tapper, you're still drilling it.
Yeah,
so it
it's
takes
like 10 seconds to kind of like auger it around and have it sink down in there. So
but it makes your drills work a little less, and I think it looks clean and it's good.
Yeah, I agree. Now this is fixed. So if we pull on this now, we're not.
Yeah,
this thing is
it's not going to
moving.
move, and this isn't the only bolt. when we put on the saddle brackets and the spacer right here and everything else that goes on this rack, it will have at least another 16 bolts in it.
Okay.
And so that will help additionally holding everything down.
Now, what's the last step in this rack? What else do we have to do?
So the last step in this rack is this last part. We've got one right here. This is a kind of like a cover, a casing, because this rack, this bar slides in and out of this bar. It's smaller in diameter. So we need to make it the right size. This slides over. We don't have this one cut to length yet, but to cut these to length, you could measure them all, but they're all going to be just a tiny bit different. So we like to just put it up next to it, mark it with a Sharpie, take it, cut it, and then that just slides right over and we just bolt it down. So,
we got Bo here throwing us the things we need he's our camera guy today.
yep. So we marked that with a Sharpie.
Now, some people might be wondering, like, what do I need to cut one of this aluminum here? Believe it or not, what is a carbon bit blade in essence?
Yeah, just any metal blade will work.
Now there are specific blades meant for cutting aluminum or steel or other things that can be used on a basic chop saw. So, do make sure you get the right components for the job. When you do, if you don't do it right, this aluminum can catch. And so it's, take the cut slow and make sure you have the correct blade. Measure 14 times cut once, right?
Mm-hmm. You could also cut with a handsaw, like a chop saw or something like that, or even angle grinder if you really wanted to. Don't recommend it, but it would work.
Yep. Movie magic. We now have it all cut. Yay.
It's cut. So you'll see how this fits really well. You'll see how this fits. It comes in here, slides over. That gives us a good place to mount the saddle brackets onto. Otherwise, they don't fit on this inner bar. Once this is in, just to hold it in there for now, we'll measure out about halfway between this bolt and this post.
Now, why do you do it at the halfway point? You want to just kind of walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, so we do it at a halfway point. It keeps it looking uniform, and also the saddle bracket is going to mount somewhere right about in here and somewhere about here. And so that also keeps it away from those saddle brackets, so you're not messing with your mounting right there either, because those are going to go down and you're going to put more self-tappers in those, and you don't want that to be in the way of your you don't want this bolt to be in the way of the saddle bracket feed. Right.
So it's kind of hard to put the saddle brackets down with the self-tapper in the way. So
yep. So we've found that halfway between the bolt and the outside edge is about where you want it.
So
and we'll always clean this out too, because when you drill this one, stuff gets underneath it, and this will just help it sit flat on here.
I love how fast those go in with that pre-drill. It's nice.
Yeah.
What's nice as well, just keep in mind, we're not etching out anything with this 3/16. You're not etching out anything more than what the self-tapper itself would be cutting out anyway. And so it's just removing that excess bulk that would otherwise have to be augered out by that self-tapper. So
on this one, the self-tapper still takes off a little bit, actually. So it's still grabbing just as much as if you were to do it without pre-drilling.
Great. Now we're now the next step. What's the next one there?
So now we're going to take two of these saddle brackets, and this is actually going to be the rear rack. So we're going to use some of these different ones. These ones just don't have the second set of lower control arms.
Do we do this up here on the bench, or do you want to bring it down to the floor?
We do it on the bench. You can do it on the floor. This will help you guys see it better though, and it's easier for us.
Now we're wanting to mind the direction of these bolts, right? So,
yep. So these are all facing backwards.
Okay, so we're going to
want to flip this around.
Yeah, there we go.
So this is a panel is going to mount here, and this will be the very back of the system. So this is where we'll mount the spoilers that we have. Right.
So we walked through and kind of explained the rear spoilers in an earlier video there.
And then
you need the saddle bracket spacers in there?
Yep, so we have a saddle bracket spacer because we build so many of them. But you guys can just measure out 11 3/8, which is what we keep, which is what we set ours at, but every system's going to be a little different.
We're talking about the spacer that goes under the bracket there, right?
Oh, those.
Yeah.
Yes.
The saddle bracket spacers.
They're right here.
Oh, you got them?
On the table, yeah. But yes, so this spaces out here. This is what we use to keep our saddle brackets right where they need to be. So this board sets us where we need to be for the width of the panels and everything.
You're seeing this live, people.
Yep.
This needs to be flipped around too.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. No edits on no bloopers in our videos, right?
Yes, we just live raw footage.
Raw footage right here, baby.
But that will keep us at the spacing we need to be at. And then you want to make sure to set this outside one first. So
now when an installer gets their package put together.
So now that one is set and isn't going to move.
Then we can do this guy. I see it.
And yeah, now this guy, we want to make sure that the spacing on these is good, because if you have it shifted all the way this way, it doesn't like to move very much, and you want to be able to adjust it. But now that that's set and pushed down, we can drill a hole right here.
Now, I was going to mention these guys, all of the fasteners and bolts and you name it, along with the appropriate drill bits, are included in the packages that we send out to our installers and do-it-themselvers.
Sorry.
You're good. I'm interrupting your guys' install. So.
No, you're good. So this is the gist of it, and we don't need to show you all these bolts, but once you've got the 2 feet or the 2 saddle brackets set on here, you can go ahead and drill out all the rest of these bolts and put more self tappers in there, and then you'll do the exact same thing on the other side.
All right, awesome. And then just kind of finish out the thought. So when we send this out to the end installer, or if you're to do it yourself or want to do this on your own, you'll have all of these components for your installation, including the drill bits for the appropriate pre-drills and what have you. And so we're trying to make this as cookie cutter and easy for you to take on and do it yourself as possible.
Unfortunately, we're not sending you drills though.
Yeah.
So.
No drills, no hammer, no impact driver. But yeah, all right, well, awesome. Thanks, Graydon. Yep. Now the last few things we got here going, you'll get this fixed, and then we're going to bring this up top, right?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
All right.
So we have the rest of the racks on the roof. Once this one's done, we'll take them up top, and we'll show you all how to put them on the roof.
Okay, awesome.